Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. If you've been looking at the modern workplace lately and sensing this intense, almost invisible strain within your organization, yeah, you are absolutely not alone. Today we're going to put on our workplace expert hats and really diagnose exactly why organizations are feeling this immense pressure as we look toward 2026. We're tracking a monumental shift here, and honestly, by understanding the mechanics of this shift, we can finally make sense of what's happening quietly beneath the surface of our daily work.
So here is the core question we really have to start with. What actually breaks first if artificial general intelligence, or AGI, lands in 2026? Now, a lot of people just assume the threat involves machines suddenly waking up, becoming conscious, or demanding rights, but that completely misses the mark. The actual threat isn't consciousness or even raw intelligence. The true shock comes from the sheer, unmanageable tempo of the technology. If AGI arrives in 2026, the world won't have time to adapt. It's simply going to buckle.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our diagnostic roadmap for today. First up, the real threat is speed. Second, from assisting to acting. Third, why coordination fails first. Fourth, the quiet economic rebalancing. And finally, the era of learned irrelevance.
Right into part one. The real threat is speed, and why timing matters way more than intelligence. You see, an AI doesn't actually need to be perfectly flawless to completely destabilize an organization. It only needs to be good enough, cheap enough, and most importantly, fast enough to be trusted at scale. And history proves this pattern time and time again. Think back to the 1990s. High-frequency trading fundamentally broke financial markets way before regulators could even understand what was happening. In the 2000s, social media drastically reshaped politics long before any moderation rules existed. In the 2010s, smartphones totally rewired our collective attention. And now, in the 2020s, AI systems are aggressively shifting our workflows. It's a classic pattern. Compressed technological shocks always hit way before human expectations or laws can possibly adapt.
Moving to part two, from assisting to acting. This is the fundamental pivot.
Now, what's really interesting here is that we are moving rapidly away from treating AI as just some reactive assistant. In just a couple of years, enterprise AI adoption jumped to nearly 4 out of 5 companies. To put that into perspective, it took the internet a full decade to reach that kind of workplace penetration. That massive acceleration doesn't just happen because tools are fun to play with, right? It happens because AI is actually doing real work. Reasoning is improved, memory has scaled, and progress isn't just inching forward anymore, it is compounding. To really understand why this is compounding so fast, look at the contrast between legacy tech and modern systems. Older systems were fundamentally reactive. They waited for your prompt, they answered your specific question, and then they stopped. Modern systems, however, they're proactive. They decide, they choose their own tools, they retry when something fails, and they act autonomously. That subtle pivot from just assisting you to actually acting completely changes the risk profile in the workplace. So here is how that autonomous action plays out in real time. Modern systems take a complex goal, break it down into discrete steps, choose the right tools for the job, maintain the entire context of the task, and then just execute. Take a tool right now called Overseer OS, for example. It can instantly reverse engineer an entire YouTube channel to break down exactly what's working and surface those patterns instantly. We're talking about analysis that used to take human teams 3 weeks and a whole lot of expensive coffee. Now, it happens in 3 minutes. Literally.
Let's move to part three and see how this builds. Why coordination fails first, and this idea of speed asymmetry.
When workflows execute in minutes instead of weeks, established organizational structures start to wobble. It introduces what researchers are calling speed asymmetry. Think of it like this. It's like trying to fact-check a fire hose with a clipboard. Humans review work linearly, right? One item at a time. But machines operate in parallel. Oversight simply hasn't scaled at the same rate as AI capability, and realistically, it probably can't. You can actually already see this dynamic playing out everywhere. Code is being generated and shipped way faster than human teams can fully review it. Content is scaling far beyond what human moderation teams can keep up with. Automated reports just pile up unread on your desk, and big decisions end up getting rubber-stamped. Why? Well, not because the AI is perfect, but because slowing down the machine to manually check its work feels way too economically expensive. Organizations, they don't actually lose jobs first. They lose coordination, visibility, and steering. Which brings us to part 4, the quiet economic rebalancing and the rise of speed-based monopolies. This profound mismatch in speed creates an entirely new economic landscape, and honestly, one that completely defies our normal market definitions. Think about a classic recession. GDP crashes, there are mass layoffs, productivity is totally stagnant. But in an era of speed-based monopolies, the metrics look entirely different. GDP and markets might actually rise, yet job security suddenly feels incredibly shaky to all of us. Why is that? Because productivity gains aren't flowing to employee wages, they're flowing straight to the margins of the owners who control the fast systems. The org chart might look exactly the same on paper, but beneath the surface, power and value are pooling quietly around those who control the tempo.
This is absolutely crucial to understand. The economy doesn't just fall apart. It rebalances quietly and unevenly based on speed. We are seeing the rise of speed-based monopolies. And this isn't your grandfather's monopoly, where one company simply owns all the oil or the railroads. It's a totally new kind where a few players can price faster, ship faster, and adapt consistently before their competitors can even formulate a response.
Arriving at Part 5, the era of learned irrelevance, the real human toll of all this. This brings us to the emotional core of our diagnostic today, the human toll. Because as AI outperforms us in more and more domains, trust inevitably begins to erode. We start questioning what's real and what's human-made. And at the exact same time, human intuition, that gut feeling we rely on, starts losing ground. When machines consistently outpace and outperform your judgment, well, you hesitate. You ask yourself, do I trust my gut or do I trust the system? And this constant hesitation ultimately leads to decision paralysis. Employees just begin deferring to the faster system because, let's face it, arguing with software that iterates in seconds feels utterly pointless.
So the crucial point is this concept of learned irrelevance. Notice this is not learned helplessness. It's a subtle shift where you still show up to your job, you still technically nod in the meetings, but you quietly disengage. Your input simply carries less weight against these faster systems. Agency isn't being violently taken away by force, it just fades. It's a quiet disengagement that fundamentally changes how people see their role in the world.
And the tough reality is, we cannot simply wait for governments or institutions to step in and save us from this feeling. Human institutions are reactive by design, right? They move at election speed, taking months or even years for public consultation and legal review. AI deployment, on the other hand, moves at compute speed, with training and deployment cycles measured in mere weeks or days. By the time democratic institutions observe the damage and write the rules, the workflows have already completely changed, and the behavioral incentives are permanently locked in.
The true shock of AGI in 2026 isn't the intelligence itself, it's the total misalignment of timing. Human systems are built for gradual change, and AI systems simply are not. So the real question we have to ask ourselves is, will you even notice you're playing the old game before the rules completely change?